Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome to episode 8 of Blackhawks Banter, brought to you by thehockeywriters.com. First and foremost, we hope all of our viewers had a very Merry Christmas and that you're enjoying this festive season. While we're now at the point in the holidays where it becomes near impossible to know exactly which day of the week it is, you can count on us to help. Just be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us across social, and you'll always be able to base your week around our weekly show, which airs every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. As always, I'm joined by my fellow Blackhawks writers, so let's say hello. Hey, Brooke LoFurno, how are you?
Hello, I'm good.
Good. Gail Kauchak, how's things?
Pretty good.
Good, glad to hear it. And what's up, Greg Boysen?
Same day, different stuff. Living the dream.
There it is. Well, I hope you all also had a very Merry Christmas with lots to unwrap, which is the theme of our show tonight, so let's get right into it. First topic we're going to talk about is something that none of us wanted to hear or see, but it's Kirby Dach and the injury he faced. So with little for Blackhawks fans to be enthusiastic about these days, we were all excited to see how participating in the World Juniors would elevate Kirby Dach's game, let alone that we have a chance to witness his leadership capabilities as captain of Team Canada. But that won't happen. After he broke his wrist in pre-competition play, he's now out of the tournament and will miss a lot of time with the Blackhawks. Just reported today, it looks like 4 to 6 months. With that said, do you think it was a mistake for the Blackhawks to allow Dach to play for Canada instead of ensuring he stayed ready and healthy to start the season? We'll go over to you, Brooke. What do you think?
No, I don't think it was a mistake. Usually these types of things are a great opportunity for players to get extra playing time, good for development. And unfortunately, injuries are part of the game. It's not guaranteed that you're not going to get injured. It's just the risk you take. But no, it's a sucky situation that it happened. And I feel really crushed for him and for our team, and that he can't play for Team Canada, which I know is a big honor. But no, I don't think it was a mistake. It's just these things unfortunately happen.
Yeah, contact sports always going to be that risk. Greg, do you agree, or do you think the Chicago should have held him back?
No, I don't think it was a mistake. Hindsight is 2020. There's a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks on Twitter ever since this happened about, oh, they should have never done it. We all sat here last week or the week before and said it was a great thing, and it was. Mm-hmm. Injuries happen in hockey, and it was a play. It was such a harmless looking play. It wasn't a dirty slash or a hit from behind or anything like that. It was just a freak little play that could have happened in a practice, could have happened anywhere. It's just it stinks big time for so many reasons. You feel bad for him not being able to play in the tournament. Obviously, Kirby Dach was one of the biggest reasons to even be excited about a Blackhawks season, and now he's essentially going to miss the whole season, the 4 to 5, 6 months, whatever it is. That puts him right at the end of the season. So you don't expect to see him this year. But, at the time the decision was made, I was all for it. So you can't just say, oh, that was a dumb move now that he's hurt. I'll stick to what I thought up to the moment he broke his wrist.
Yeah, like you said, everyone's got something to say about it now. But, I think what adds to the oddness of it all is just how he suffered the injury, like you said. So I don't think that helps because it was such an innocent looking play. Mostly positive and optimistic. Gail, do you stand by that mindset, or do you think they should not have let him go?
It's so easy. It's so easy to say, oh, we shouldn't have sent him. They shouldn't have sent him, and they shouldn't have done it. But again, you have to. How can you not send him? How can you not send him? He didn't get to go last year. 19-year-old. The whole idea when this all came up was that he was, going to go and he was going to be the leader, and he was named the captain. He was going to learn from it, lead the way, and it was really supposed to help his progression and help his development. And it was just a fluke, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And you can't just say, oh my gosh, and keep these guys in a bubble. So yeah, it's really, really, really bad timing, and it's I hope that it doesn't deter his long-term development. But they had to send him. That's just what they should have done. And
yeah, definitely. Most of you taking the words right out of my mouth, but I'm just gonna, across the board here, we'll all agree. Clearly, this was not a mistake. I mean, we can all sit here and say, oh, too bad. Look what happened, and look what their Blackhawks are facing now, and they shouldn't have sent him because of this, that, or the other. But you've all already said it. But I'll just reiterate: there's risks to contact sport. There is an opportunity for this any game anyone plays, whether it's preseason, season, playoffs, World Juniors, you name it. So this was always going to be a risk. Gail, you just said it yourself too. This was Dach's last opportunity to play in this tournament, and this is not just any other tournament. This is the World Juniors. This is one of the most important tournaments for these kids to play in. Dach has teammates on his team. I know they were in different circumstances. They didn't already have years of pro under them, but players like Taves, Kane, Seabrook, Kubalik, DeBrincat, Murphy, Boqvist, they all played in this tournament. This is an important tournament for these players to showcase their skill, showcase what they got, and it really helps propel them into the next stage of their career. This was Dach's opportunity to do that. Unfortunate luck means that he won't be able to, but it doesn't mean any of us think any less of him or think that he's not going to come back stronger than ever. So the silver lining is it is a weird season. So I'm sort of anticipating that with the weirdness of the season, it won't really mean much because there's going to be a fresh slate when we get back to a more normal-ish season anyway. So let's all hope he has a speedy recovery and come back stronger.
Well, and you know what, too? He could have gotten hurt on the first game or two playing with the Blackhawks. You
Totally.
never know. You can't not play somebody. So
On the positive side, a fractured wrist, it's not a blown out knee or a bad back or something that could plague him for years to come. When this heals, it's healed. He's good to go. So if you're gonna pick a body part to injure, the wrist is probably one of the first ones you pick because it hopefully won't be something that you have to worry about. Just ask Brent Seabrook or Dave Bolin what it's like to play with a bad back.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize, some might, but the other thing that's odd for this kind of an injury is that breaking it is a lot better than, tearing a ligament. Some people think that a break sounds so bad, but it's kind of better that it was a break, like you said, Greg, for that reason too. So it will heal, it will get stronger, and hopefully he'll come back stronger too.
although, as a center, a wrist injury is never good. So let's hope that that doesn't affect him in that respect. I know that with like Marcus Kruger and some other people, it was kind of an ongoing thing. So fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
You're the positive one, Gail. You got to stick to the script.
I think I'm going to be negative tonight. I don't not feel very positive tonight.
Well, I'll end it positively and say that at least it's not a torn ligament, so we can hope that the bone does heal better than that would have.
Or
and
concussion.
he's young. He's young on top of it, so that works in his favor too.
Yeah.
Speaking of young injuries, let's go straight to Alexander Nylander. So obviously we've all seen the news that following knee surgery to repair a torn meniscus, speaking of knees, Greg, Alexander Nylander is now expected to miss the next 4 to 6 months, similar timeline to Dach, essentially meaning he's likely out for the duration of the 2020-21 campaign. Regardless of any pessimism surrounding his on-ice play, which we all have and share, we obviously wish him nothing but the best and hopes for a full and speedy recovery. Upon his return, with the potential for a fresh slate to his career, do you expect to see more, less, or about the same out of Nylander when he's back in action? Greg, I'm going to start with you on this one.
I don't have any reason to think anything's going to change. I mean, we keep having the same conversations about him. When's he going to reach his full potential? At some point, you got to just think it's never going to happen. And this is another setback. So, until he proves that he deserves the shot and can play consistently, he doesn't have to be a superstar at all times, but just be consistent, be consistently good, not great for a period and then forget you're even on the team for the next 3 or 4 games. So I don't know. I have zero expectations for him going forward. I figured that's the easiest way to not get disappointed.
Zero expectations means it can only get better from there. So we'll see where that goes.
Can't get disappointed when you have nothing, when you don't have a horse in the race.
That's fair. Gail?
I think this is really bad news for Nylander. I just think that he didn't have, Greg's mentioned it, he didn't have the consistency to begin with. He has the skill, but he doesn't have the consistency. Now he's losing out on a whole season. I'm not feeling it. I feel like this could really be kind of what derails his career. I just don't think that he has the intangibles to make it in the NHL, and this could be the nail in the coffin for him. Unfortunately, that's kind of how I feel about it.
And that could be the case, but we'll talk, next to one of his one and only fans that we're aware of. Brooke, what do you think?
I know, I was going to say, oh, shoot. Now I can't, rag on you guys if he comes back and scores like Patrick Kane, but even though I'm mad about that. But I will say, I think I would expect him to come back and see more out of him because he is instead of just playing for himself. Now, when he comes back, he is going to be playing for his job. And that's going to be a lot of pressure on him. But it's unfortunate that a lot of players end up getting in that spot where they get injured and then have to play for their job. But that's just what it is at this point. So I would hope that he would come back with a little more jam in his game or a little more stat, maybe hopefully prove us wrong. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if he'll get the opportunity. I don't know if we'll end up trading him. I don't know what's going to happen. But if he does come back to the Hawks, I would expect more out of him, or hope we get more out of him.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, with him coming back with something to play for, hopefully it lights a little bit of a fire and we see a little bit more out of him. Unfortunate that might be what's needed, but hey, I guess we'll take it if it happens that way. On my end, I'm just going to say that he obviously hasn't done much to impress. He clearly didn't in his time in Buffalo, and obviously hasn't yet in his time in Chicago. He came into this league with pretty high expectations and clearly hasn't gone anywhere close to them. So the only thing I'll say that sort of more echoes kind of where Brooke stands on this is I think this will prove to be an opportunity for him to come back and prove everyone wrong, or at least prove that his value is there. I'll say that I don't know really how high his ceiling is. It's kind of dropping as each season goes on for me, but I think if he can treat this like the proper fresh start that it can be to his career, I will say that I expect to see more out of him. For, again, the reasons Brooke said that he's essentially going to be fighting for a contract, but at the same time, just for his own sake, for his own pride. I mean, he comes from a hockey family, so hopefully this time will help him reflect and strengthen both physically and mentally, so he can come back a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and stronger. So I do expect a little more out of him, and we'll see what comes of it. Heading straight to some more confusion in the offseason. If we haven't already had enough as Blackhawks fans, let's talk about the Soderberg signing. Chicago recently signed 35-year-old veteran center, Carl Soderberg, to a one-year contract worth $1 million. Although it seems like a response to losing both Dach and Nylander to injury, this move doesn't align with their supposed focus on youth development that was promised by management. I don't know how young that scale is for management, but 35 is not there, unfortunately. So instead of asking you what you think of the signing, for us to all clearly agree that it's confusing, I want to get your thoughts on where you'd actually utilize Soderberg in this lineup. Gail, where would you place him?
Okay, well, I know that you just said it's confusing, but it actually kind of crazily makes sense a little bit, because especially now that we know the news about Dach, okay, so I think he's definitely going to come in and play center. I see him. You've got Taves, you've got Dylan Strome. Why the hell won't they sign Dylan Strome? But that's another story for another day. Then I've talked in recent shows about Wallmark. I think that he has some good stats and maybe could come in as a center. And then you have David Camp, who Colleton just loves. And he really has done his job by being that fourth line center and being defensively responsible and such. So then, okay, where does Soderberg fit in? Well, I do think that he's going to compete and push Wallmark and Kemp for one of those third or fourth line spots. And then they're going to play better. And maybe you have to remember too, that there's going to be this taxi squad that we've got to fill out. There's another 4 to 6 players that are going to be on a taxi squad. And it's going to be really, really interesting to see how all the teams utilize these extra 4 to 6 players. So you could easily, why couldn't you, so he doesn't fit, and he pushes Wallmark, I'm saying it wrong. I'm getting everybody confused. Wallmark and Camp to play their best. So you don't really feel too bad about putting him on the taxi squad. Maybe you kind of sit him. Maybe he's your healthy scratch that kind of sits out. You don't feel too bad about it. He's 35 years old. He's only there for 1 year. It's pretty low risk. It's only $1 million. Or he ends up beating them out, and then he's the mentor. He's the mentor for some of the younger players. So unfortunately right now, because Dach and Nylander are both gone, I think that it almost makes sense to have him around, and I think that he will provide that depth that the Blackhawks are going to need, and mentorship. We'll see. We'll see how it all pans out.
Yeah, fair enough. Hopefully he does bring some sense of value there for sure. As far as making the squad as opposed to being a scratch, Brooke, is he right in your lineup, or where do you see him fitting?
Yeah, I see him in the lineup, honestly. I was watching a little bit of his interview that he had with the Blackhawks media, and he was talking about how Stan Bowman was interested in him for a while, but it just all came to fruition now, which makes me think Stan Bowman made this move. He wants this guy to play. So, and now with Dach being out, and I don't know what this means for Strome at this point. I'm really like confused. But if Stan did this in a move that he knew that Kirby Dach was obviously that his injury was worse than we anticipated, and also that Strome is not gonna resign, then I feel like he might just play on that second line. I know he's probably not a long-term solution there, but just a filler for now. And we know that he has a scoring touch. I mean, he's kind of like the ghost of the Central Division. He just keeps he keeps running around and keeps popping up everywhere. But yeah, I see him in the starting line. Maybe he will be on the third or fourth line, but I can also see him on the second, honestly.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, we'll see what he can crack and where he fits. And again, the Strome signing might say a lot too. So, Greg, where's he fitting in your lineup?
He's definitely playing bottom 6 minutes, fourth line, third line. He's a really good penalty killer. We beat up on Stan Bowman a lot, and yes, when the signing was first moved, my first reaction was, "Come on, this is not what a rebuilding team does." We've been through that. But in actuality, getting Carl Soderberg for $1 million is a really good deal. He's a really good penalty killer. He's a really good defensive forward. I will give Stan credit this year, this offseason. You know, you could look at the names. He's not signing big names, but he obviously had a goal to make his team better defensively, and I think he's done that. He brought in Nikita Zadorov. Again, we've debated that move till the cows come home, but he's a stay-at-home physical defenseman that the Blackhawks needed. With the additions of Wallmark and Matthias Janmark and now Soderberg, you've gotten much better and harder to play against defensively. They need that, especially when you consider that the three goaltenders they're rolling in the training camp have a combined 84 games of NHL experience. So if you can do anything to make their lives easier while they try and figure out how to play at this level, it's a plus. So they're better defensively. They're harder to play against. Those are two things they definitely needed. And we saw that in that Vegas series. So if I'm going to rip on Stan when he does something stupid, I have to be fair and give him credit when he's done nice things. And as far as making the team better defensively, on paper, he's done that. Now it's up to our boy wonder coach to make that actually happen on the ice. We'll see if that happens. But Soderberg is going to play bottom 6 minutes, as I said. Good penalty killer. You need somebody to take those penalty kill minutes that we're going to be missing with Brendan Saad gone. And he could still contribute offensively. He's no slouch. He's had at least 35 points in each of the last 3 seasons. He had 17 goals with Arizona last year. He's 2 years removed from career high 23 goals with Colorado. Granted, everybody scores in Colorado, but still, he's not just a guy that's going to be there just to play defense. He's a guy that can maybe chip in a few goals. And added bonus, he's the perfect type of guy that a team with a long playoff run in their sights wants for the playoffs. So if you can get Soderberg in here for 30, 40 games, whatever it is, he plays well for $1 million, and then you flip him for a 4th round pick, job well done. It's a good move. If Derek Stepan can bring in a 2nd round pick, then you should at least be able to get a 4th rounder at the very least for a healthy Carl Soderberg. So in the end, yes, it doesn't fit the team, a rebuilding type move, but it's not a bad move whatsoever. It's not a flashy move. It's not anything to get you excited, but when it comes down to X's and O's, it's a pretty solid move.
Someone was going to say, was that Gail or Brooke wanted to jump in?
Oh, I think I was just going to say it's a move that kind of fits the situation.
Yeah, I mean, situationally, I get it. It looks like Stan wants to fill a void, and I totally understand that. And great points. I mean, the value's there. It's a great signing as far as the way the contract looks. I actually really like Soderberg. I like what he brings to the game, and I just personally, again, just don't see how his attributes fit this Blackhawk strategy. Everything, Greg, you just said, you might have convinced me a little bit. I'll admit that perhaps his defensive side of the game, his penalty kill will help the goaltending situation figure itself out. But I don't know if that was the point here. I don't know if that's why he was picked up. And if it was, then kudos to Bowman. Or if it was a long-term play here where he's hoping to flip him at the deadline, then again, kudos there too. But for me, call it being an idealist or being a little too literal with what this rebuild should be, but I just want to see these kids get a chance. I just want to see more youth driven into this lineup, and I want to see there's going to be mistakes being made. So let the youth make those mistakes. Why bring up these temporary fixes that'll maybe clean it up or cover it up temporarily? Let the kids come in and let them grow. So that's why these moves keep confusing me. As much as we can rationalize them, and I think those are great rationalizations, I just don't agree with it. And frankly, if you were going to sign a player like this and pay $300,000 less and sign Corey Perry instead. I do like Soderberg. Again, I think he brings great value to in this contract to what he can bring, but I don't like his fit with Chicago right now. Greg, because you don't want to see Perry in a Blackhawks uniform?
No, I want to see him. No. I want to see him under the wheels of a garbage truck.
Agreed.
No, thank you.
Well, on that note, let's take a breather here. So to those just tuning in, welcome to episode 8 of Blackhawks Banter. Friendly reminder to make sure you're following us across social media, from the Hockey Writer accounts to all of our personal accounts. You can find that information in the YouTube description, all of our links to all of our channels and all of the work that we do. Please make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel so you never miss a show. Greg, you already touched on goalies, so let's talk a little more about them. With teams carrying a minimum of 3 goalies throughout the 2020-21 season, I wanted to have some fun with creating our own all-time dream trio for the Blackhawks. Over 85 netminders have played at least one game for this franchise. This isn't just about picking their best, but being strategic with who is placed where and why. So what I want you to do is select one netminder, past or present, to slot into each of the following roles and justify your choices. The roles will be a starter, a backup, and a third string. Brooke?
Colin Delia, Malcolm Subban, and Kevin Lankinen.
Perfect.
No, I'm just kidding. I would have Tony Esposito as my starter, just because, I don't even think I need to explain that. That's just one of the best goalies in Blackhawks history. The 3, 3 Vezina trophies. He had the most shutout victories in Hawks history, I think it was. So, the list goes on. I would take him all day long. My backup would be Crawford. We all know what Crawford brings to this team, and maybe that's showing my youth because I've watched him mostly. But I would take him as Tonio's backup. If we had that string together, Esposito in his prime and Crawford as a backup, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. And I would say my third string is Leonard. Again, that's probably me with my recent peoples, but I don't know. I just love Leonard. I think he's a reliable starter, third string and backup. So I would take him, I think, right now. So if I had those 3, I'd be happy as a clam.
They'd be in good shape with those 3. Over to our 90s guy, Greg. Who do you got in that?
I only have one guy from the 90s on my list. I'm starting with Glenn Hall. He's Mr. Goalie, for crying out loud. How do you not pick a guy named Mr. freaking Goalie? All right. 502 straight games. He played every single minute without a mask. The guy's one of the greatest goaltenders of all time. He's my starter. There's no question. His backup, if he should need a backup, because it was really hard to get him off the ice when he was here in Chicago, I'm going with Dominik Hasek. People forget he started with the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks had it so good in the early 90s. They had Ed Belfour and Dominik Hasek in the same crease, and then had to trade one of those guys. You couldn't really go wrong with keeping one or the other. So I'm going with Hasek. So if Hall needs the breather, Hasek comes in for the shutout and the crazy slinky type save at some point. And since our third stringer, I've got Hall, I got Hasek. The third stringer is not sniffing the ice. So I'm going to bring along Marty Turco just for the fact that he's a fun guy. He keeps the locker room light. He's never afraid to rib a guy or prank the opposing player. Just Google Marty Turco pranks. You'll see what I mean. So he's a good locker room guy. He's not playing on this team with Hall and Hasek. So bring a guy that could at least make you laugh while he's on the bench.
Yeah, good picks. Cover a few generations of the game, but certainly not a bad lineup either. Gail, who's starting in your crease?
All right, so I'm going to get a little bit sentimental here. I am picking Corey Crawford and Ray Emery for my starter and my backup because they did such a great job in the 2012-2013 season when they won jointly the Jennings Trophy together, and it would be awesome to see that back again. They were just a great duo. And then again, sentimental. I'm looking at Scott Darling for my third string because he fought, and all of them. I forgot to mention that Crawford, remains elite despite struggling with concussion issues. I'm not sure if you all know this, but Ray Emery had what everybody thought would be season-ending hip injury that he fought back from, and nobody even thought he was going to be able to walk again, but he came back and played elite hockey again. And then you've got Scott Darling that had fought with alcoholism for much of his life as well. And he came in 2015 for Crawford, and who knows if they ever would have gotten through that Nashville series if it wasn't for that, and won that third cup. So those are my three.
Yeah, I mean that Belfour Emery duo was awesome. They were fun to watch. It's too bad we didn't see a little more of that. Great picks so far on all around, and I'm going to kind of pick from most of those here. I'm obviously going to go with Esposito myself. This is the best goalie in franchise history, in my opinion. And as far as the stats are concerned, most games played, most wins, most shutouts. He actually even has the most points of a Blackhawks goalie. And the way this team is shaping up, they might need that. So that'll certainly help. And if he came onto a team that was going to compete a little bit more, he might have a chance to win a cup, which is one of the only trophies he's missing. So I'm giving Esposito the crease because I think he's earned that. As his backup, I'm going to Crawford for a lot of reasons Brooke already said, but I mean, Crawford's earned his reputation, and Crawford deserves more respect across this league, let alone through the Chicago fan base. I think he was one of the more underrated goalies while he was here, and I still think he is. And we'll see what he can do with the Devils. But the point is, while he was here, he did a lot that I think went unnoticed, or at least underappreciated. So I think he's earned the shot after having won 2 cups and being a big part of that, to sit right behind the best goalie in the franchise history and back up Esposito. As a third string, I'll kind of leverage off Greg's rationalization as far as character goes, and I'm going to put Belfour right in there. I just think Belfour, from the minute he stepped on the ice with the Hawks, he epitomized everything it meant to be a Blackhawk, let alone the fact he did an epic rookie year, one of the more unparalleled years in recent history, let alone in the league's history. But he just really was everything that it meant to be a Chicago Blackhawk. I mean, this guy's passion and aggression was second to none. And I think having him there, even if it meant he was in the press box, would only fuel this team and this lineup. So I think he'd be a lot of fun to have around. So, I mean, obviously we all got a lot of great goalies there, and we'll see if who they have in net now will turn into any of these legends that we can currently speak of at this moment, but time will tell. As far as this odd season goes, let's take a look at some of the new divisions. With everything set in stone now, with new divisions and schedules now set for the upcoming season, we know that the Blackhawks will be seeing a lot more of the Carolina Hurricanes, Columbus Blue Jackets, Dallas Stars, Detroit Red Wings, Florida Panthers, Nashville Predators, and Tampa Bay Lightning. While they already anticipate facing some familiar foes more than they're used to, this also gives team a chance to build new rivalries along the way. So I want to know, and I want to put it out to you guys, which of their less obvious rivals do you see turning into newly found enemy of the Blackhawks as the season unfolds, and why? Greg?
I'm going to go with the Carolina Hurricanes, just because, I don't know, I want them to have some fun games. Carolina's a fun team. There's some history between the two as far as trades go, outside of, it seems like Stan only likes to trade with the Hurricanes, the Panthers, and the Coyotes. There's not as much as there was in past seasons, but you still got my favorite Finnish son, Teuvo Teravainen. Still, that one still stings. He's still playing for the Hurricanes. You have former Hurricanes in Walmart and Calvin DeHaan on the Blackhawks, so there could be a little trash talk in there. I just think those two teams could have some fun games together. My advice would be every time the Blackhawks and Hurricanes get together, bet the over. You're going to win more than you lose.
Yeah, fair enough. Gail?
Well, I actually almost picked the Hurricanes just because you almost want to have a rivalry against those bunch of jerks, right? And like Greg said, they're a fun team. But I don't really see a rivalry coming from two teams where one is a little bit better than the other. It seems to me like a rivalry is going to come from two teams that are kind of hitting head to head and competing kind of on that same level. So that's why I chose the Columbus Blue Jackets. I feel like they're a little bit more evenly matched. And I also feel like there's more of opportunity for a rivalry there. They're a blue collar team. They're going to be hard to play against. They're relatively close to Chicago geographically, so I see that being a factor as well. And I think that these two teams could potentially, I just feel like they're going to be kind of in the same place, maybe competing for that fourth spot. I don't even think I can say that right now that we've got Dach and Nylander out, but okay. Maybe in the
Gail,
same,
come on.
I'm being so negative tonight. Maybe in the same place. And then let's not forget John Tortorella. He's the man that you love to hate, the head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets. So let's get some love-hate going on there. I think it'll be a fun rivalry with the Blue Jackets.
So Gail, do we have you on record as saying that you know the Blackhawks are not going to have a good season? That's what I took away from that?
No, not on record,
Oh.
not on record. I'm just a little doubts creeping in.
Fair enough.
Who are you and what have you done with the real
Yeah,
Gail?
what?
Brooke, how much confidence do you have in the Hawks, and who are they going to be battling with next year?
I mean, I'm sorry, I have to go with Gail. I thought I had a little bit of confidence if I thought the Wild were going to be in our division, then I would be ecstatic because we seem to match up really well against them. But I'm a little scared. I'm not going to lie. But maybe, who knows, like you said, we cleaned up the team defense. Maybe that will help a little. I don't know. But anyways, I would pick, my rival would be Carolina. I was going to pick the Blue Jackets, but then I kind of swirled back to the Hurricanes. I actually love the Hurricanes. Yeah, I love them, and I'm kind of sad that now they're in our division, so I'm going to grow to hate them now. But I feel like we did not do well against Carolina last year, and I think that's going to, cause a little bit of frustration on the Hawks end, or not frustration, but just ambition. They are going to want to come back and beat them this year. So I think that might cause a little bit of a little fun little rivalry there. But also, like you said, they are kind of another little version of the Blackhawks in a way, which is a good rival for that reason too. But they're just a good team, and they're gonna push us a lot, and that's a good test for us. So I think that would be a rival I would look to.
Yeah, they're gonna be a fun team, those Hurricanes. So it'll be fun to see if the Hawks can actually keep up. I personally don't think they can. I don't think their speed will keep up, let alone the scoreboard. I'm gonna agree with Gail on this one. I'm gonna say the Blue Jackets for similar reasons, but similar to what Greg said about Carolina being a familiar trading partner, the Blue Jackets sort of are in their own way too. I think Columbus actually is in more of a position to compete than Gail's giving them credit for. I'll say that. I think that they are actually a little bit of a better team. I think that they're constructed a little bit better than the Blackhawks currently are, a little bit cleaner anyway, as far as how that it all aligns throughout their lineup. So I do think that they're in a position to compete. And I think with, both franchises put hard work first. And I think that's what's going to make them sort of come head to head, because even though the Blackhawks are going to struggle, what I've said all along is that they come in battle. As cliche as that sounds, they do. They come in and fight. And I think that's going to prove well for them as far as who they might be able to upset along the way. But obviously, if they're going to upset anybody, it's going to be a team closer to their caliber. While the Blue Jackets, on the other hand, are going to love to try to take advantage of and control a team like the Blackhawks. Imagine, the Blue Jackets, they get some credit around the league, but probably not the amount that they're due. So if they can come in and just totally run over a team like the Blackhawks, who's owned this league last decade, clearly not in recent seasons, but that's something the Blue Jackets are going to really want to take advantage of. And the Blackhawks are just not going to want to let them. So I think we're going to see some interesting battles between these two. And Gail, you touched on something important there that I didn't even dawn on me when I thought of my answer. But Tortorella, I mean, talk about a wild card there. I mean, him in and of himself is going to be the reason that these teams battle. So that's going to be fun to see how that all comes down and the interviews post game. So I'm going to stick with the Blue Jackets on this one.
He's my dream coach. I would take him on. Could you imagine him in Chicago? Oh my gosh.
I would welcome that any day.
Yeah, I would too.
Tortorella fan.
That is my dream coach.
Taking things back up into the true north here, we'll talk World Juniors a little bit. After Canada pummeled Germany 16-2, and the U.S., congratulations, crushed Austria 11-0 to capture early victories for our countries, it opened up the debate of whether a team should ease up after they start to run away with a game or just keep playing the whole way through. I want to get your thoughts really quick here to end the show from both perspectives. So here's the scenario. Team A is beating Team B by a score of 10-0, midway through the second period. Scenario 1, as the coach of the leading team, do you re-strategize to have your squad ease up or encourage them to make it 20? Gail?
Okay, so I didn't realize this before I started watching the World Juniors a couple of years ago, but it's my understanding that when if you're tied with the wins, then the goals factors into it, right? So I think that is why this is what they do. I mean, this is just kind of accepted that okay, you got to work up the goals, because let's say Canada is competing with the USA, and they had both won all their games, and I know that hasn't happened, but anyway. So if that was the case, right, then you would go by goals for who would be on the top seed there. So that is my understanding, that's why it's done. Yet I'm not sure if what was it, 16-2 Canada over Germany?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, how good are you really going to feel about yourself when you're Canada if you are basically taking a team that's completely decimated by COVID and only playing 12 or 14 players. So to me, it wasn't that. The score was a little bit different than the whole situation. But yeah, that's where I stand on that. I think that this is a tournament where this is what you do, and this is what's accepted.
Yeah, fair enough. Brooke?
Okay, first of all, Mr. Canada, the USA blew out Austria 11-0. You guys are not the only people doing that, okay?
I included you. You're in there.
He said that. He did. He did.
Yeah.
My example was going to be that Canada's beating the US by a score of 10-0, but I didn't go there yet. So.
Okay, we'll have a fun, but thank you for acknowledging. I appreciate that. But as a coach, I wouldn't tell him to ease up, honestly. I would just say, I don't think I would say anything fancy. Just stick to your game, stick to what works. I wouldn't necessarily say up your game or but just stick to your game. Obviously it's working, but at the same time, you're playing for something still, you're playing for your country. You have that sense of pride and passion, and it's a important thing. So I would just say, just stick to what you're doing. Just have fun and see where that goes. If you want to make 10 goals, 20, go for it, but just don't do anything differently. Just have fun.
Yeah, fair enough. Greg, is your team going to score some more, or are you telling them to slow down?
Oh no, score as many goals as you humanly possible. As Gail mentioned, goal differential is a tiebreaker. So scoring 3 garbage goals in the third period when I'm up a dozen already is the difference between playing Switzerland in the quarterfinals or playing Canada in the quarterfinals. Stop me.
Yeah.
I'm going to score on you until you stop me. You're supposed to be the best players at that group in your country. Stop me. Until you do, too bad.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And to be honest with you, I have this stance even beyond the fact there's a goal differential at play here. And it's not about being arrogant. It's not about being cocky. It's not about being from Canada. Even if Canada was the one on the losing side, I would say that the team winning needs to keep winning. These are major international tournaments. These players are to be there to be playing at their best, score and score some more. It's not about showing off. It's about controlling the game. If you're doing better than your opponent, why stop? As you've all said, keep going, keep playing, keep doing what you're there to do. You shouldn't be there to play down to your competition. Your competition should be there to play up to you. So keep playing. There's going to be lessons to be learned on both sides. But at that same rate, the fact that there is goal differential, keep on scoring.
I would say that to a losing team too. If my team was on the side of it, I'd say that too. Just
yeah, absolutely.
Stick to your game. Absolutely.
And speaking of being on the losing side, we'll finish off with that. So same scenario, but you're behind the bench of the losing side. Do you treat this as an unnecessary showmanship or a welcomed learning opportunity for your lineup? Brooke?
Welcomed opportunity, I think. You can never learn enough, I think, in life and in games. Whatever you're doing, it's just you can always learn or take something away from it. So, that was really unfortunate what Germany had to go through, but I would still say, just take this as it is, just keep playing your game, play to your best, do what you can do. You can only control what you can control, but I would just say I take it as a welcome learning opportunity. You can still take some positives from it if you want to.
Greg, how mad are you if your team's down this much? I'm mad. I'm mad at my team, and I'm mad at the other team. You still got to have pride, and some of these guys that aren't drafted yet, you're still playing for your draft position, so there's still plenty to play for individually. Granted, you want to be a team, but I've spent the last 2 seasons, not this season because there's no hockey in Illinois, but I've scouted for the North American Hockey League for 2 years and seen a lot of lopsided games. And I'm not there for good hockey. I'm there to watch individual players. And I actually enjoyed when games got out of hand. I liked to see how players played when they're either down by 7 goals or up by 7 goals, because if you change the way you play in that situation, that's not a good look either. So like there's something to be said to be getting your butts kicked for 55 minutes, but still playing every shift like it's a tie game. And I think every player should want to do that. And I know these are kids. They're still teenagers. They get frustrated. You see bad plays. We've seen a couple of questionable hits and blowouts already. But just, you're playing for that country on the front of your jersey. Have some pride. Do your best. That's all you can ask for. You're not going to win every game. Play your best to the final whistle, and you can hang your head up on that.
Yeah, a lot can be built through that kind of experience. Gail, how are you feeling if you're down and you're behind the bench? Are you mad at your crew, or are you letting it slide?
Well, it just builds character. Let's face it, the Canadian team is icing a much better team than Germany can. And so it's good for them to have this opportunity to represent their country. Again, it builds character. They should hold their heads high, and they should play the best game that they can. And like Greg alluded to, that shows something about someone when they are getting their butts kicked, but yet they're still trying their best, and they're still trying their hardest, and they're still trying to learn and grow from it all. And I think, doesn't Germany play tonight? Who does Germany play tonight? Does anybody know?
Is it tonight or tomorrow?
I think it's tonight. I forget who they play, but I think they have 2 games left. And I honestly, I'm such a root for the underdog, and I would just really like to see them bounce back and kind of get some pride back, and maybe who knows, to get a win or 2, or at least play well.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I know that we on the show like to have banter amongst ourselves, and that's what our viewers like too. But collectively, through this entire question, through both scenarios, I'm going to have to agree. I think we're all on the same page here. I don't think there's any sense in getting mad at another team for lifting up the score and for pounding on your team. I think it's just an opportunity to learn, and it's going to show you and your team what you're made of. I think the reality too here is that if you behind the bench as a coach get bitter about this kind of a situation and choose to take it out on the other team, or get aggressive or get angry that they're doing something wrong, as opposed to looking internally at what your own team is doing wrong, it's sending the wrong message to your crew and your squad in and of itself. This is a chance for you guys to learn and to grow and to compete and to see how you can develop and lift yourselves up the next time around, as opposed to finding excuses for why it went so wrong in the first place. So a lot of learning that can be done there. Obviously, I personally have never played at this level of play, but anything we've ever done, we've all had situations where we've lost or we haven't succeeded as much as we'd like, but it's a matter of how you get up and what you do next. So I'm with you, Gail. I look forward to seeing what Germany can do. I think there's a lot of great opportunity for them to take out of this, and we'll see what they can do.
Playing Slovakia tonight. That's who they're playing. That's a winnable game, maybe. Slovakia's looked a lot better than people gave them credit for. They gave Sean a little bit of a fright last night.
They you know what, they really did. They played a great game. Obviously I didn't go in there expecting a 16-2 victory, but that was a lot closer than
they made your boys work for it, and that's all you can ask.
And you know what? That's okay. Everyone's there to work, so that's okay too.
Good gracious, we're all scared tonight. All of our topics has us really scared.
Well, on that note, this week's banter has come to an end. Thank you to our viewers for tuning in, and to Brooke, Gail, and Greg for helping make this show what it is. Be sure to check out the description of the video again for links to follow us all and check out our work. We will see you next Monday for episode 9 of Blackhawks Banter. Go out and watch some more World Juniors hockey and enjoy. Good night, folks, and go Canada, go the whole way through.